We've known since 2019, when they brought in the ELDs, that the rigidity with the hours of service was going to be a problem with this whole system. Now, in 2023, we know it's not just a problem, it's a friggin' disaster. This video is sponsored by drivingtests.org. Now, the whole idea behind mandating the ELD was that it was supposed to reduce accidents because it was supposed to cut down on the number of tired drivers. And it's had just the opposite effect. Since 2019, the truck accident rate has gone up, not down. So a big part of the problem has been with the really large carriers and their implementation of the ELD. They've decided to take the ELD and use it as an efficiency tool for their drivers. And basically they've turned it into an alarm clock system. So they can get the drivers up the moment the 10-hour rest break is up, and they'll get them up and get them back to work, and it doesn't matter to them whether the drivers are fully rested or how bad the weather might be. They're forcing the drivers out on the road to maximize the hours of service they get out of the drivers. The problem with the rigidity here in the hours of service is, and maximizing the driver's hours of service as far as the carrier is concerned, is it often puts drivers in bad situations when they do run out of hours, because it can leave them at a customer downtown overnight, or it'll force them to sleep on an off-ramp, and none of that's safe for the driver to do. As much as carriers would like truck drivers to work like robots, that's not the nature of the beast, and they need to recognize that drivers are people and not robots, and that's part of the problem with this system. Now finally, after all this time, the FMCSA recognizes there are problems with the lack of flexibility of the hours of service, and in their infinite wisdom and complete lack of real-world experience in trucking have decided to compensate for this issue by granting hours of service exemptions. But look at how ridiculous some of these exemptions truly are. They take away the hours of service exemption from livestock haulers, but grant it to the all-important job of hauling fireworks, for Pete's sakes. Or they'll grant an exemption for fuel haulers to run over their hours of service in bad weather conditions to service their customers. Now, if the hours of service is truly supposed to be a mandate for rest periods for truck drivers, why does all that get thrown out the window in a snowstorm? Do you think fuel haulers, after 10.5 hours on the wheel, on the road, in a blinding snowstorm, feel any more rested than they do ordinarily after that amount of time? That makes no sense at all. Just a few words about today's sponsor. drivingtests.org has developed an online training course that will help you get your ELDT certification and help you pass your CDL knowledge exam. Guaranteed. drivingtests.org is certified by the FMCSA and is recognized as America's #1 online CDL training program. Check them out at drivingtests.org. So here's a radical new idea. Let me just throw this out there. Let the truck drivers decide when they're tired and when they're good to go. Penalize and fine these large carriers that use the ELD as an efficiency tool. Take truck drivers off this rigid clock, hours of service, and grant them the exemption of being able to use their own common sense as when to drive the truck. Pay the driver for all the hours he works. Don't grant it as free time when he's sitting at a shipper's or receiver, because the whole time the driver's sitting there for free, he's eating up his hours of service, so he should be paid for all that time. There's a lot wrong with the hours of service right now, but it's nothing that can't be fixed. And perhaps the FMCSA would find that their supply chain issues would disappear if they let drivers operate using their own common sense. Let me ask you this. If you were paid for all the hours you were at work, if you were allowed to run when you were rested and allowed to sleep when you were tired, don't you think this would make you a safer driver? Let me know what you think in the comments. So here's my position on this. Stay safe, and if you are tired, pull over and take a rest and punch into your ELD system that you were too tired to drive. That covers your butt. And if the carrier gives you grief over this, you're probably with the wrong carrier. Keep the rubber side down. I'll see you on the back home.